There's always data challenges. That's just common in every company. But one of the unique challenges I found at Unite is that actually I found out a couple similar organizations is the account hierarchies are like the most underestimated problem in B2B go to market.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Revenue Optimists. This is a space where revenue teams, operators, and leaders can really share advice, learn, and grow together. I'm Rebecca. I get to talk to amazing revenue leaders all the time. And today I'm really excited to chat with Robee. I will let you introduce yourself, but Robee, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. I am Robee Pilgrim. I have been in the revenue operations world for almost 30 years before it was called revenue operations. And so excited to be here and share all the experience I have and knowledge from the last 30 years in my career.
In your experience at UniteUs, have there been any kind of challenges that you found or edge cases unique to that you've had to kind of work through, whether it be the data, the process, or re-architecting altogether?
One of the unique challenges that I found so one, there's always data challenges. That's just common in every company. But one of the unique challenges I found at Unite is that actually I found out a couple similar organizations is the account hierarchies are like the most underestimated problem in B2B go to market. So I worked with companies that had enterprise parent accounts with dozens of subsidiaries, and every subsidiary had its own budget, its own champion, its own process. The
Hmm.
CRM was treating them in like independent accounts. So we had reps stepping on each other's toes, no visibility into the account value. So we've used Traction Complete in a lot of these instances to build the proper hierarchy layers. So ultimate parents to subsidiary relationships, with territory logic that respected that hierarchy. And a couple of really specific examples of that at Unite Us, we work with sponsored customers. So, for example, if you take, as I explained what Unite Us does, if you take a healthcare system, then that healthcare system works with food banks, transportation, different housing units, and things like that. That's not an organic or a natural hierarchy. So, Robbie's food bank is not going to roll up to John Muir Healthcare. So how do you hold that hierarchy together? How do you put that together? That's almost impossible in a standard database, no matter how much customization you do. So we use a tool like Traction Complete to take all of those different hierarchies and map them to each other and hold them nicely in Salesforce. Another great example, and actually how I first met Traction Complete, was at an ed tech company. So we were selling into districts as well as to schools directly, but we had a ton of inbound. And when that inbound was coming in, those schools districts had the same email domain. So, for example, Robbie.pilgrim at Brentwood School District is at the school district. Is it Adams Elementary? Is it Freedom High School? There's no way to really know that. So we actually had that hierarchy issue as well on inbound and used Traction Fleet to be able to bring those in, identify where those go, and hold them properly in the right place within the CRM.
That's amazing. And so it seems like that's really helping kind of your inbound engine and making sure it's getting to the right rep. And those conflicts are kind of, being mitigated up front. Is there any other sort of use cases that you found helpful for account hierarchies?
I think that the next biggest use case for account hierarchies is being able to actually look into the account and know what our expansion potential is. We can see, what we're already selling to different parts in that hierarchy, where other products that we could fit in that actually meet the use cases for those different levels. For example, the hospital may have very different use case from the food bank, even though now they're under one hierarchy. We could say the food bank would be great with this expansion product and the healthcare would be great for this expansion product. That's really hard to figure out just looking at tons and tons of data without it being like architected and structured for you.
That's amazing. And I imagine with both of those cases, actually, there's unique data that, goes into building that hierarchy and unique sort of enrichment approaches, I guess you could say. Can you tell me a little bit about how you approach enrichment in, the different businesses you've been working for?
Absolutely. So the first thing I do is separate the nice to have enrichment from the must have within an organization. So every company wants everything. They want technographics, firmographics, intent, org charts, all that good stuff. But what will actually change a rep's behavior or routing decisions? Like we need to start there. So for most B2B SaaS companies, I almost always focus on company size, tech stack, and buying committee signals. So for something more complex like healthcare or ed tech, I'm looking at operational data that's specific to the vertical. So like bed count, enrollment size, grant funding status. So like standard enrichment providers don't cover that at all. So we often have to build custom processes to get the data, get what we need there. So, one principle I apply everywhere is enrich at the point of entry, not after the fact. So, we only bring in stuff that we really need. So, the cleanup projects are very painful because they're never ending if you're just dumping in data that aren't actually enriched and within your ICP and usable. So, build enrichment in the lead capture flow and helping that, using Traction Complete. And then you eliminate that debt, that tech debt and information debt.
Yeah, no, completely. And I mean, there's a lot of talk out there right now with enrichment and everything also being available on the web and, having a little bit more of that real time element. Is that something you're looking into as well? Or because the industries are so specific, they still rely on, some trusted sources and those tools that you mentioned?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question. Things change so quickly with like data and enrichment and who's the best to go to. To have a really honest take on your question, a lot of the data enrichment sources, they're scraping the internet. So a lot of them are pretty similar. And then when you have very, very unique use cases like ed tech or like healthcare, you really have to take that data from multiple different sources and be able to pull that in and then use different things to enrich it, like, AI, like maybe using
Mhm.
running things through Clay or having building a prompt for Claude to like scrape the internet on very specific information. But I haven't found one tool or data enrichment set that actually can work for every single use case, which I think is expected. And tomorrow the answer may be different because something may come out and be like, we're built especially, for this unique use case.